Charles Simpson, co-founder of Integrity Music and New Wine Magazine, and the leader in the Charismatic Renewal movement that impacted the world, talks about how when we share the gospel of Jesus Christ, it's important to be relevant, but never leave out the truth. Check it out. Be sure to subscribe and press alert to get new notifications of new success secrets made available on VFN TV.
So if you don't have integrity, you're not going to function in that.
So how do you identify? I mean, you're looking at a man or a woman and you're seeing integrity. What do you see that says integrity?
Well, I think there's a resonation. You resonate with a person like that, a witness of the Spirit. Mm-hmm. And then you observe if a person like that is consistent, if they keep their word.
If they're not isolated, I guess.
They're not isolated. You look at what's around them. Do they show health around them? Mm-hmm. Those are all things. But I think there's sometimes you might meet a person right out in the world, you don't know anything about them. You can resonate with them.
Right.
Now, if your motives are wrong, you're going to get the wrong message.
Right.
If your heart is pure before God, I believe you'll get the right message. That is, this is a person that I want to know better. Mm-hmm. If your motives are wrong, you'll get in trouble when you get to know them better.
Well, Pastor John Kilpatrick said people will call him up and say, I want to know everything about revival. Can you meet with me? And so he picks time to meet, which is, that's why their time to me is so valuable right now. And they don't listen. They just talk the whole time, and they didn't even listen to what, they had a whole opportunity.
Sure.
To listen, but they just talked the whole time. They didn't.
I had a friend of mine, I recommended him to go to a person to be coached, mm-hmm. who's a very successful person. Mm-hmm. And this is a friend, excuse me, mm-hmm. both are friends. But one guy wants to go somewhere, and so I said, talk to this guy and mm-hmm. let him coach you.
Right, right.
Well, what they did was, they had a conversation that was pretty much one-sided. My friend that was going to be the coach, he said, well, he talked to me for an hour. I mean, when
right.
the coach invites me to on the field to be in a game, I don't talk to him for an hour.
Right.
I don't talk to him 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In fact, I say, yes, sir. That's
right.
about
The coach says, did I ask you to think? What were you doing? Answer me. Yes, sir. Did I say answer me? I think so. I'm not sure. That whole mindset is gone nowadays about gleaning and listening and trusting, that kind of relationship.
We have courses on speaking. We don't have any on listening, and we don't know how to take instructions very well.
True.
And a lot of people, I'm sorry, I'm getting hoarse,
That's
are
good.
not coachable. Mm-hmm. They can't, they have ability, mm-hmm. but they're not coachable. There are a lot of great players that don't make the team because they're not coachable.
So if you're not teachable, you're not reachable. I've had that, like, no matter what you do, they're like, why don't you help me? He's like, I tried helping you, but you didn't listen to anything I was saying.
Well,
how do you work with that?
Narcissism doesn't produce teachableness.
No.
And we live in a society that's a lot more interested in affirmation than it is instruction and discipline. And when you affirm in ignorance, you're making a mistake.
Yeah, we affirm it.
And my parents didn't know anything about self-esteem. They didn't grow up in that culture, and right. therefore I didn't get much of it.
Right.
But they loved me enough to tell me the truth and deal with me.
Yeah.
And now love means you just affirm.
Yeah.
And that's not biblical. I mean, if you look at the scripture, God doesn't just affirm.
He doesn't. Whether you agree with it or not, he doesn't just affirm.
He instructs.
Yeah.
And he believes he's God. He believes he has the right.
Go figure, right?
To tell you what you ought to be doing.
And the church is about him.
Right. Actually. And if you're smart, you listen to it.
Right. Oh, yes. If you don't the first time, within the next 40 years, you will listen.
You will listen. I mean, who has known the mind of God? He created the galaxies. I was looking at a picture that the Hubble telescope had taken of the universes and the galaxies, and I thought for a moment, maybe I'm looking into the brain of God.
I had to shake that off. I
yeah,
did the same thing. I'm like, oh, it looks like neurons. Oh my gosh, it looks like this. Oh my God, don't think about it. What if we are a thought in the mind of God? Go ahead. I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, and here's another thing.
Okay.
There are two official timekeepers on the earth. One is in England, and one is in the Rocky Mountains. They don't keep the same time. The one in England is 80 feet above sea level. The one in the Rockies is several thousand feet above sea level. And the one in the Rockies is just a millisecond slower in its time than the one in England, which means the higher up you go, the more time slows down.
Oh, we're getting deep. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you could take, theoretically, twins, send one to a distant galaxy, and bring him back, and he would be a year and a half younger than his twin. Now, what's fascinating to me about, and that's scientifically true.
We need to take a trip. I need some energy.
Well, time slows down as you go further away, and could there be a place where there is no time? Now,
we exist inside of time, but that exists inside of God's.
He's eternal.
Yeah.
There is no time.
Right.
Eternity is not a long time. So I'm talking to somebody who sees the end from the beginning.
Right.
It's timeless, and I'm living in time, and I'm telling him what I should be doing.
Yeah, right.
Or what's right and wrong.
Right? Yeah, right. Right. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
But
he's going to fold this whole puppy up, too, when it's all done. Can you imagine the folding up
and
of the universe and just like...
And there'll be no time.
I always look at Elon Musk with his rockets. He's kind of like going up the throne leg of God's throne. It's just a little buzzing like an ant up there. It's like he has no idea. It's like how big he's trying to find something outside of God, and it's like what if he runs? He's going to discover God in the midst of all this passion that he has to. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Perspective is everything, and from here where we are, our perspective is very limited. We see just a little bit. The further we get away from it, like the astronauts, it always makes an impact on them when they look back at the earth. It changes their perspective.
Yes.
The further spiritually we're removed from circumstance, the more we see clearly.
That's good. That first shot of the moon from the was beautiful, and they quoted God. They quoted Scripture during that. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
Well, what did you mean? And you wrote in your book says, what did you mean about the relevance is a large issue in today's church. In pursuit of relevance, many groups have sacrificed integrity in the presentation of the gospel. The failure lies in relating to individuals on a consumer basis rather than a mission basis. I mean, how do you, because I see that, I see consumerism, you're trying to meet the needs of the customer versus.
Sure.
Talk about those two things, consumer and mission.
Well, I would say that my primary task is to obey God and to represent the gospel and the truth to the best of my ability. That's my primary task. Now, if I'm dealing with somebody, I have to try to make it as clear and understandable as possible. You could call that relevance.
Right.
But if I compromise the truth to make it palatable, now that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So I can be relevant. I can take the message that Jesus is the Son of God, lived a sinless life, and died on the cross and raised again. I can take that message to them, and I can try to make it as simple as possible, as long as I don't compromise the message. But if I leave out the gory parts to make it palatable,
the blood, the cross,
then I've disobeyed God. I've betrayed my calling. And I think there's always a tension between integrity, and relevance. Every relationship begins with a compromise. Because you start out, you want to keep your integrity, but you want to relate to the person and not offend them or hurt them. That's okay. But if I become something else in order to be palatable to them, then I have betrayed who I am. And ultimately, I'll betray them too, because they'll find out.
So Paul said, I became all things to all people that I might win a few.
Right.
He never left.
He didn't change the gospel.
He didn't change the gospel.
No, he didn't. And he, he's a great illustration of the very question you're asking. He kept the truth till he was beheaded.
Yeah. That's, oh my goodness. Wait, don't go anywhere. Subscribe. Listen, together we can touch the world. That's right. Subscribe below, right? Wait, don't go away. Subscribe. We're going to touch the world.
You know, a lot of people want to abide with the Lord, but they just don't have a plan to do it. You can request that plan today at iabide.org.
Hey, be sure to check us out at vfnkb.com and also join the VFNKB community at vfnkbcommunity.com. Listen, your success is our success is your success, and our success together is kingdom success.